Welcome to the Screencast-O-Matic video version of the quadratic functions in factored form, and these are the notes, and this is part 3 of that series. When we left off, we had just finished what is for me page 4, what is for you probably the first half of the back of the notes, and we had looked briefly. I'd shown you the directions for plotting a parabola and using all the different pieces of information you have in the factored form. And now we're going to ferret out the last piece of information that you will need. And let me write up here at the top what the factored form is. And it is y is equal to a x minus r1 and x minus r2. Okay, so this a is actually a very interesting number, and it determines whether the parabola is pointing up or down, and it also determines if the parabola is narrow or wide. So we're going to use the information in a parabola to determine what a is and write the factored form. So I'm going to just write down the information that I can read from the graph, and that is the information on the two roots, and one of the roots is -5 and the other root is a +2, so that's r2. So y is equal to a times x minus a -5 and x minus 2. So these are the two roots. So y is equal to, I'm just going to simplify that, x plus 5, x minus 2. Excuse me. So we've got all of the information, or almost all. We need to find a. And the way you find a is by using a third point. Sometimes that point is going to be a y-intercept, which this one is, and that y-intercept would be x is equal to 0, y is equal to 3. You'll always be given that third point because you cannot determine the factored form without a third point. So we know the x and the y at that third point. So I'm just going to go ahead and substitute those values in. So our y value is 3. And our x value is 0. And what we're left is an equation that's all numbers except a. So we can go ahead and solve for a. This is 5, and that's a -2. So 3 is equal to -10 times a. Divide both sides by negative. And we get a is equal to 3 over -10. And the fact that it's negative indicates that the parabola points down, which is what we observe. So we're good there. And the fact that 3/10 is less than 1 makes that parabola wider. And it is kind of a wide parabola. So we can come up with the final equation, -3 over 10, x plus 5, and x minus 2. And that would be the answer. Okay, let's work another example. So what do we observe? We observe our two roots. That one is at x is equal to 0. That one is equal to x is equal to 6. And we have a third point. We can't use the y-intercept because it's one of the roots, so we're given another third point. We can read the coordinates of that point. X is equal to 4, y is equal to -6. So we'll write down the form of our equation. A is equal to x minus r1, x minus r2, and y is equal to a times x minus 6 and x minus 0, which simplifies to a is equal to, since this is x minus 0, we're going to put that first. That's just a plain old x. So it's a times x and x minus 6. And then we're going to use that third point to find a. The third point is 4, -6. So we're going to say the y value is -6 is equal to a times 4 is the x value, and 4 minus 6 is the x value minus 6. That's what goes in here. If we cook, well, let's cook that down on a different line. So -6 is equal to 4 times a -2, which is going to be -8a. Divide both sides by -8. And we have a is equal to 6/8. And if we'd reduce that, then we have 3/4. So our overall equation is 3/4. Let's put the x first, because it's by itself. It's x minus 0, but we can just say x. 3/4 x minus 6. And that is the solution to the problem. Okay, so we observe that a is positive. 3/4 is a positive number, and indeed our parabola does point up. And also 3/4 is less than 1, and that makes our parabola a little bit wider than just your standard parabola, and it's a little bit wide. Okay, I would encourage you to turn me off at this point and see if you can work these 3 problems by yourself. That's the best way for you to learn and then turn this back on and get the solutions. I'm going to assume that you've already done that and that you're going to check your answers. So our 2 roots are at x is equal to 2 and x is equal to -4. So our base equation is y is equal to a, x minus 2, x minus a -4. And that simplifies to a is equal to x minus 2, x plus 4. Now we're going to use this third point to figure out what a is. And our x-coordinate of that third point is 0, and the y-coordinate is -3. So -3 is equal to a times 0 minus 2 and x0 plus 4. So -3 is equal to a times -2, positive 4. -3 is equal to -8a, and a is equal to 3/8. So our overall equation is 3/8 x minus 2, x plus 4. And I'm going to box that. So you connect with that that is the form of the answer that I'm expecting. Okay, let's work a second problem. I see 2 roots here. One is at -1, one is at +2. So the form of our equation is a and x minus r1, x minus r2, y is equal to a times x minus a -1, x minus 2. So y is equal to a, x plus 1, x minus 2. And we're going to use that third point, the coordinates of which are, that's a 5. 5 and 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. So 5 and a -4. So -4 is our y value. 5 plus 1, 5 minus 2. So negative 4 is equal to, that's a 4, that's a 3, 12a. Divide both sides by 12. And you get a is equal to negative 1/3. So the final form of your equation is negative 1/3 x plus 1 x minus 2. So we go back and ask ourselves, is this a, since our a value is negative, it points down? Yes, it does. And since this value is less than 1, it's going to be pretty wide, and indeed this is a wide parabola. Okay, I'm going to work through one more. We have a root at negative 1, a root at negative 6. So y is equal to ax minus r1, x minus r2. Y is equal to ax, and I'm going to say minus a negative 1, so x plus 1. And x minus a negative 6, so it's x plus 6. Now we use our third point, which is negative 2. Oops, that's not negative 2, that's a 0. X coordinate is 0, y coordinate is negative 2. So negative 2 is equal to a times 0 plus 1, 0 plus 6. So negative 2 is equal to 1 times 6, 6a. And divide both sides by 6. And we have negative 1/3 is equal to a. So the final form of our equation is y is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 1 x plus 6. Now I want you to just notice one thing as we're wrapping up, and that is that this parabola points down because it's a negative 1/3 and it's kind of wide. But look, there's a negative 1/3 here, and there's a negative 1/3 here. So we can only see part of this parabola, but does that look, they both point down, does that look like it's about as wide as this one? So what are the differences between these two parabolas? I'll tell you what it is. That vertex is shifted over to here, up 1, right about here. Is that 2.5 or 3.5? Over here. But otherwise, these are very similar parabolas. The vertex is in a different spot. So that concludes our notes. Enjoy doing the notes and enjoy doing the homework. We'll see you soon.